Welcome into NHL Tonight, first shift for Wednesday, May the 7th, 2025. EJ Hradek here alongside Devan Dubnyk, our goaltender, back with us today. Big guy, how are you?
I'm great. Thanks for having me back. Perfect time to talk some playoff hockey.
Oh, it's been a crazy several days here. What did you make of the weekend? The whole Rantanen, crazy third period, and then that Jets St. Louis game was, it was even better somehow.
Somehow it was, yeah. I mean, what a dagger for Colorado to just, you lose the game, but just to see there's so much talk about Rantanen going and should he have gone and why did he need to go and they should have paid him and everything. And then you match up against him in the first round. You got a 2-goal lead in Game 7, and he single-handedly ends your hockey season. I mean, it couldn't get worse for Colorado. Obviously great for Mikko. He's a great guy and a great teammate and loved by everybody there.
Yep.
But wow, that was tough for Colorado fans. And then, I mean, the Winnipeg game is just mind blowing. You revisit the end of that game over and over and just both sides of it. Like the fact that we have a Winnipeg Dallas series right now is crazy when we were 1.6 seconds away from St. Louis moving on. I mean, the way those guys got to feel, I don't even want to think about it.
Yeah.
But just the game tying goal in general, the play, like it comes back to Ehlers. He whiffs on the shot so perfectly that it comes right back to him. And you think he might panic a little bit, not knowing the time, and just hammer it back on the net. And I mean, what a play across. Kyle Connor, I think, I don't think he misses that shot at all. I think that's a shot pass all day, and the deflection is perfect. Winnipeg goes on, looks good in overtime.
Amazing.
And they get the goal, which seems to be the only way a puck was going to go in that overtime. Really was just a shot towards the net. There really wasn't much available for either team. And I mean, to be a fly on the wall in Winnipeg for the tying goal and then the overtime must have just been insane.
All right. Listen, I do want to bring in my producer, despite his protestations here, to give just, I want a little quick. I know you want me to get to the next thing, but
busy show today,
but I wanted to give the viewers a little idea of what's coming up because we got the World Championships that are starting on Friday.
You're always concerned about the shifties out there. That's what I appreciate about you, EJ. Yes, as EJ alluded to, the World Championships are starting Friday right here on NHL Network. In the States. So first shift, our schedule's in a bit of flux, EJ. So we do have a show tomorrow, but then Friday the World Championships begin from Sweden and Denmark. As I mentioned, you can catch those games here on NHL Network. But because of the time difference, they're going to be on during the afternoon. So first shift, we're all over the map for the next couple weeks. But don't worry, Mom. I still have a job. I'll be doing other shows, okay? I know Benny worries sometimes. First shift will return to its regular schedule on May 26th.
There you go. All right. See, we took care of that business. All right, get out of here. Let's get to first things first. Hit the button. Nicely done there. He does it all. He's on camera. He's hitting buttons. He's doing a great job. Hey, last night, the Edmonton Oilers, we had 2 games last night, first games of second round. And the Edmonton Oilers, I'm going to have to start rethinking my opinion of the Oilers this year because coming into the playoffs, I didn't really love their D as much. They're missing Ekholm. And yet, they get Klingberg late in the year. He's played well. Evander Kane returns to the team. I mean, look at this from Jack Michaels. It's the first time in the history of the Stanley Cup playoffs that a team has recorded 5 consecutive comeback wins in the same postseason. And the Oilers outscoring the opposition 17-6 in the third period of the playoffs. So I'm going to have to rethink this, Doobie. Your former team, the Edmonton Oilers, I mean, they went to the final last year. I thought their team was a little bit better last year, a little deeper. This year, they've already changed the goalie out, and it seems like no big deal because Cal Pickard has now won 5 games in a row. I mean, the Oilers, that was a strong performance, particularly down 2-0. From the second period on, it was really, to me, it was all Oilers.
It was, and I've been following this series close, covering it, and I've been able to watch all the games start to finish. I'll tell you what, this is a dangerous hockey team right now.
Yeah.
The way that they're playing from, they started to get after Game 3 against LA, Game 4 overtime. They just build and build and build. And if you watch that game last night, the second period on, they're dominant. They're all over the place. They're playing the right way, and they have depth right now. They have forward depth where they're able to roll the 4 lines. It's not, the points are still coming, obviously, from Connor and Leon. But as far as pressure and getting the pucks deep and just having a relentless forecheck over and over and over again, if you watch this game from the second period on, they just wear them down. Vegas couldn't do anything. They were under pressure all the time. When they got it, by the time they got to the red line, they had no choice but to flip it in and change. It was very similar to the last 3 games against LA, where they were just relentless over and over, turn the puck over. They were crisp, transitioning, going right back down your throat the other way, and they can wear teams down, and they're as good as anybody with those players at just manufacturing offense, manufacturing scoring chances out of seamlessly nothing. So it was really fun to watch. If you're an Oilers fan, you watch that end of LA series and last night, and they just seem to kind of recover as well. They don't, down 2-0 in Vegas, that place is crazy, can easily unravel, with Pickard, if he shows chinks in the armor and starts to let in a couple goals. And, they had potentially that in game 6 too, and they just didn't do it. They just stuck to what they were doing. For whatever reason, they love getting down a couple goals just to make it hard on themselves. But they don't seem to care, and they don't, and they, their game picks up, and they get better and better as the game goes on. So, like I said, starting from overtime, game 4, into the dominant performance of game 5, the dealing with the ups and downs of game 6, this team is just looking better and better. Evander Kane sliding in at forward, just solidifying those 4 lines, giving every line an identity is huge. And John Klingberg, listen, everyone thinks like, oh, they want to see him shoot from the point or create offense or power play, whatever it is. Otherwise, he's a defensive liability. This guy has been incredible moving the puck up the ice. If you're a defenseman on the Edmonton Oilers, your main job is to get the puck going the other way into the forwards' hands and let them do their thing. And since he came in the lineup, I believe it was after game 1 or game 2 of the LA series, it has been noticeable. His transition and ability to make tape-to-tape passes and get the puck moving the other way and into the forward's hand has been a huge difference for the Edmonton Oilers since he's come in the lineup.
Doobie, it's funny because you look at the history of this league, teams that go to the finals the next year, historically, it's not always great the next year when you lose. Like if you win, you go to the final and you win, it's different. But you go there and lose, sometimes the next year can be really tricky for you. We saw last year Florida was able to turn that trick, went to the finals and lost, came back and then won. When I watch the Oilers over these last couple of games, it almost looks like to me that they're kind of on a mission. They know what time it is now, and like McDavid knows that clock is ticking, Draisaitl, and these guys want to add a Stanley Cup to their resume. They look like they're on a little bit of a mission right now. I mean, that to me is a bad loss for Vegas at home with a 2-0 lead, but the Oilers are playing well. So, maybe they're just in that room. They feel like, hey, we're getting back, and this time we're winning.
Well, and it's a good thing because if you watch games 1 and 2 in LA, it certainly looked like a team that was not ready to do that. It looked like they were going to take a step back from their playoff run, and it was looking dire after 2 games. And they've really come together. Like I said, the lineup was kind of all over the place in the first couple games, trying to figure out who's going to play with who and who's generating energy, and it just, they couldn't seem to find it, and it started to come together. And now they've got this identity. They've got their lines. They can still move guys kind of here and there, but you got your 3rd and your 4th line. They know what their job is. They're going to bring energy, get it below the goal line, go to work, try to create some stuff, but really just make sure that they're creating a relentless forecheck and constantly having the puck going the other way. And that wears the team down and opens the door for Connor and Leon to do what they do every night. So they really seem to have settled in. Their D have settled into their jobs. PK, I still think is a little bit left to be desired there. Don't love their in zone. They're getting it done right now. I think they're playing with fire a little bit with what they're doing in zone. We'll wait and see how that turns out. But when you watch these games, this is a really, really good looking hockey team, and Pickard's done what he needs to do. It's going to be a talk over and over again, but he doesn't flinch. He doesn't change what he's doing in the net. He's made the saves he needs to make. The guys are playing comfortable and confident in front of him, and he's doing all he needs to do right now. And right now, he just needs to make the saves that he needs to make. They're really not giving up a lot, but he's coming through when it matters in these 1-goal games, these tied games. He's making the saves at the timely times. That's what they weren't getting before, and they're getting it now, and the results are showing.
Hey, Doobie, he's 5-0. That's all that really matters. He's 5-0. He's winning the game, which is the most important thing, as you know. I want to ask you about Adin Hill for a minute, because Adin Hill is like you. I don't think he's quite as tall as you, but he's a bigger goalie. And I've noticed over the years, and like, I don't want to pick on him here, but I want to get your thought on this. Like, he reaches up a lot of times for pucks that are like, I see that. Like on that play there, like, I would imagine it's just instinct to do it, and he had bad luck. The puck kind of went behind the net, and it went off the pad and in. But I wanted to get your thought, because I have seen Adin Hill do that before, maybe because he is so tall. Here he's on his knees. Is that just instinct? I think you'd maybe want to let that puck alone when it's over the net.
Yeah, well, he actually did it once, I believe it was in the second period as well. The puck just went over, but I think it's just instincts. I don't know if you could rewire that when you're as tall as him or I. The puck's floating towards the net, you're already down. It was kind of a weird deflection. You don't know for sure if it's going to drop behind you or how high it is. And if you feel, in that split second, if you feel like you can reach it, you're going to go for it. So smart play by Draisaitl there to rifle it back off of him. Obviously not the guy whose stick you want that puck to land on, because he had made no hesitation to bank that thing in the back of the net. But, Hill's fine. Like, I think watching the second period, Vegas was defending really well, even though Edmonton was playing well and controlling the play, and they were getting their chances, but they were defending well, and Hill looked really solid.
He played
it looked
well,
like kind of one of those games, where he was right on top of everything. He was big. He didn't have to go side to side a ton for any crazy grade A chances. And it just, if they kept doing that, it looked like a game that they could kind of cruise to a 2-1 win. And Edmonton did a good job of just keep going. And then when the stuff opens up, being a bigger guy, not the best skater, not saying he's a bad skater by any means, but they start getting him going east to west as a big goalie. That's where the holes start to open, the stretching and the reaching, things become more difficult. And Edmonton, as well as anybody, is able to create those offensive opportunities with the talent they have.
So the Oilers on the road win it, overcoming an early deficit to win the game 4-2. Back east, similar story, really. The Carolina Hurricanes, they're on the road. They're down in a game which really they dominated. I mean, the numbers are kind of incredible. It took a third-period goal by Stankoven there in the slot to tie this game up. It goes to overtime, and in overtime, Jacob Slavin from the point, kind of a seeing-eye shot, finds its way all the way through. I felt bad for Logan Thompson because he played so well throughout the game. And, Doobie, the other thing that I would say about Logan in this, and here's the note from Mike Kelly. I mean, look at this. I mean, the zone time. 33 minutes of puck in the offensive zone time. The shot attempts 3-1. The shots 33-14. Mike, Doobie, the thing for me, and I want to get your thought as far as being a goaltender in this situation. Like, people don't realize that when the puck is in your zone so much, the goalie has to do so much work of back and forth and out and up and down. Like, that is a taxing night. That's why I felt bad for Thompson, because I thought he played really, really well, and in the end, he comes out on the short end.
Yeah, it is. Even if you're not getting shot, those shot attempts, right? 94 attempts at the net. That means he's playing those as a shot.
Yep.
Maybe they didn't hit him, but he essentially had 94 shots at the net. That's a lot of butterflies, a lot of up and down, a lot of pushes and stops. So, I mean, he's obviously got to be, he's in the shape to do it, but that's a lot of work for him. So this Carolina team's funny. It's, they're what's coming. The energy and the relentless shot attempts, and they seem to do it to everyone. I don't know if you can call it catching them off guard, or they're just that good at it, but they come in on the road and almost treat it like it's a home game.
Yeah.
They just go to work. They did it to New Jersey, the same thing. It was almost overwhelming. So I don't think, Washington will be a little bit more prepared for it this time and have a bit more of a pushback. I think you just have to accept, which it sounds like Washington kind of did, was that this is the way the game's going to go. They're going to outshoot us. They're going to put more pucks at the net. They might have some more zone time, but in saying that, I think Washington needs to have a little bit more of a pushback. It's okay to accept that as a fact, but you can't have that much Hurricane domination and it'd be expected to win games. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see a little bit more of a pushback from Washington out of this.
Well, listen, they're on home ice for game 2. They've already lost the first game at home. They better have some pushback. I mean, it was funny. Spencer Carberry did the bench interview. I think it was with Emily Kaplan in the second period, and she asked him about, how they started, and he just said, hey, we weren't very good. I mean, he just very straightforward, and he said it again after the game. I mean, what kind of adjustments can they make? Because it seems like Carolina has them really pushed back on their heels. Hard to believe they wouldn't be ready for a game 1 against a team they know pretty well. Like you said, we kind of know what Carolina can do. What can the Capitals do differently?
Well, the thing is you can know it's coming, but when it comes, it's still they do such a good job that it's hard. And if you're not getting pucks clean, they have to move the puck quickly, and it has to be clean. And that's easier said than done when you have this relentless forecheck on you all the time. And every time we saw, again, going back to Edmonton, Vegas, it was the same thing with Vegas. Same thing with this game. They're coming all the time, and they're coming and coming and coming, and you can catch them. You can catch them if you're crisp and you're quick with your passes, but it's got to be quick, and they have to be tape to tape, because guys don't want it. Guys get tired of constantly rimming pucks or chipping pucks out. These are the best players in the world, and they want to make plays. And in order to get going offensively, they have to make plays. But if you're not sharp and quick with those breakout passes in your zone, it's got to be bang, bang, tape, next guy tape, and then going the other way. And if you do that, you can catch them because they are so aggressive and they're flying. And that's how you have to create opportunities. But it's hard to do, and you have to be sharp to do it. So I think Washington just needs to be ready for it. Again, you can be as ready as you want, but in order to counter that, it's got to be quick, sharp passes, tape to tape, getting out of your zone and going the other way, because Carolina doesn't need to defend well if they're never needing to defend, if they're constantly in the other end. So Washington has to do a better job of forcing them to defend, and I think that starts coming out of their own end.
That's right. A lot more pressure they need to get on Freddie Anderson to make his life harder. He only had to deal with 14 shots in the game, stopped 13 of them, gets the win. So we'll see what the Capitals can come up with in Game 2 on home ice tomorrow night. As for tonight's action, Game 2 between the Toronto Maple Leafs and the Florida Panthers, 7 o'clock, ESPN. And then 9:30, we get the start of that Central Division battle in Winnipeg. The Jets and the Stars. Here is a couple of quick notes. Here's from Leah, which says that the Jason Robertson is on the ice for the Stars' optional morning skate. Game time decision tonight. It's looking like he is going to play. Here's another note about from the Winnipeg Jets side of things. Mark Scheifele and Josh Morrissey both sporting a regular jersey at morning skate. Based on what I've heard, it looks like Scheifele is more likely to play than Morrissey. I guess we will see when we get ready for game time at 9:30 Eastern tonight. But looking forward to this one, Doobie. As you pointed out at the start, right? Like we could easily be talking about an Avalanche Blues first round or second round matchup here. I mean, these teams really were pushed all the way to the end, found ways to win, and now here they go in Winnipeg. And I can only say, watching these two teams play during the regular season, which is obviously different, the Winnipeg Jets played very well against the Dallas Stars. You can see the numbers right here. 13-5, they outscored them in the 4 games. But I can tell you, watching some of those games, the Jets played really, really well. So what do you make of the matchup? Should we think of anything regular season? Does that mean anything in this? Or now that we've had this crazy first round for both teams, both trying to deal with players coming in or out of the lineup, maybe we just throw that all out?
I mean, I think you throw it out a little bit. It's like I said, you can never look at the regular season and say it matters, because it doesn't. But I'd certainly rather be the team that has a good feeling going up against a team, whether it's at home, especially even going into the Dallas. If you have a nice feeling, if you have a winning feeling in that building, it doesn't mean you're going to go win, but I'd rather have that than go into a building that I feel like I've never won in. So that's an advantage for Winnipeg. I'm curious to see kind of how the start of this series goes with the previous 2 series just being these hard-fought 7-game series that went right down to the wire. Winnipeg going to double overtime. I mean, the dramatics of that was just insane. I'm just curious to see if there's any sort of letdown by either team to start this, because it is, I mean, they were ramped up to the highest level possible all the way to the end of Game 7 in the first round, and then you start the second round and you're kind of back to square one. And just naturally, is there any sort of a letdown there? And I guess we'll see when puck drops, if Winnipeg can continue and get back to the good play on home ice, they're going to have to figure it out on the road for sure. Or, Dallas is getting players back now too. They just got through the first round with some significant injuries. And if Jason Robinson comes back, there's one piece of it. I'm not sure the timeline on Heiskanen, but I mean, to get through the first round with those major pieces gone is huge. So that's a bump for them. Obviously, Winnipeg's in the same boat. So I think this is going to be another extremely hard fought, difficult series to the end. And gosh, we'll see if either of these teams, whoever comes out on top, if they got any gas after round 2.
Yeah, it will be interesting to watch, because we saw last year Dallas, first round beat Vegas, second round beat Colorado, third round ran out of gas against the Edmonton Oilers. Yeah. So we'll see how that plays out. I want to ask you about. I do want to ask you about Hellebuyck, though, because I mean, you played the position, you played it at the highest level. You were one of the very best goaltenders during your run there in Minnesota. Hellebuyck is going to win his third Vezina. He has been one of the very best goalies in this league for a while now. The games on the road were not good, obviously. I mean, pulled Doobie in 3 games. They only played 3 on the road. He was pulled in all of them, which is kind of shocking. But yet he rediscovered his game, really looked good in that third period and overtime in wrapping up that series. So what do you feel? You played it, you know it, you lived it. What do you think about Hellebuyck and what might be going through his mind?
I mean, hopefully for him that he's got a good feeling coming off that overtime win. There was again, you think about how crazy this is. He's 1.6 seconds away from having to answer questions for an entire summer about what happened in the playoffs again. And so I'm happy for him that he's able to go and try to build on this playoffs. But it's an interesting thing, because is there, with a playoff series, a game in Winnipeg or against Winnipeg in the middle of February is not going to have the same intensity or pre-scout as an entire playoff series. And people are saying, what's happening in playoffs? Well, his game, Helly plays deep. He plays deep in his net. He's not the best skater in the league. And when I say that, I'm not saying he's a bad skater, but he's not a top-end skater. Yeah. That's why he plays deep, and he relies on his reads. Now, relying on reads is relying on trusting what's happening in front of you. And throughout the year, Winnipeg is so solid that he trusts his reads and what's happening in front of him. And with playing deep, when that trust starts to go away and the guys start running around a little bit in front of you, if you start to lose trust in your own reads, that's what I'm seeing, is he's losing trust in his reads. And instead of reading and being there, the anticipation is starting to move into a little bit of guesswork on, instead of knowing it's there, seeing the play happen and getting there, he's now starting to move early. He's feeling like there's more options available. The defense isn't nearly as tight. I think a perfect example is the Faxa goal, the third goal in the game 7. He's deep in his net and he's flat because of the net drive of St. Louis. But when he's feeling good and he's on, he is going to either, whatever it is that Winnipeg does, he's either going to trust that his guys got that, or he's going to trust that he can get there if it goes there. And he's going to be able to sit on the shot, wait on the shot, and know that he can wait till that pass goes and then go. And you can see the hesitation. He gets out and set on the shot. He feels the guy driving back post, and for whatever reason, because of what's happened in the series, he doesn't trust that that's taken care of. I don't know if he doesn't trust that he can get there, or he doesn't trust that the guy's taken. Then you start to naturally drift back as your feet come back. He flattens out, and he gets beat by a shot that really wasn't that good of a shot.
Yeah.
And that's the kind of stuff that we've been seeing. So if Winnipeg can get back to their tight structure and good defense, and allow him to start getting confident in his reads again, we'll start to see the goalie that was. If it's continued to be a little more chaotic in front of them and they're crossing screens and letting point shots, being late in lanes, letting point shots get through with traffic, Helly doesn't come out very far on point shots, then we might see more of the same.
Wow, interesting. So we'll be looking for that tonight. Great breakdown there. Really appreciate that, because there's been so much talk about Hellebuyck, and again, you lived it, so you know where he's probably at right now. Let me ask you, I want to change topics here, because we got some news today from Utah. They have a name. There it is, a new Ice Ace Dons introducing the Utah Mammoth. And here's a look at, this is the home jersey, what has the logo there of the the woolly mammoth, I guess. I mean, and it's got some interesting things. It has a little bit of, a mountain peak in there, and really interesting. I love the colors that they've chosen to begin with. You can see that's the shoulder patch look. What do you make of this, Doobie?
I love it. I think they're great. It's always strange when you start throwing around kind of new names in there, and you saw that what the names could potentially be. I thought Utah Hockey Club was kind of cool for the first year. I know they talked about potentially keeping that. I'm glad they didn't. I think teams need a name. I just don't think it really is like kind of a sticking Utah Hockey Club that's going to stick in your mind. So it's fine for 1 year.
You want a name.
You want a name, and you want a logo too. And I think the logo is really cool. I don't know if the tusks crisscrossing are supposed to be a U and a T. I think there's always cool things that go into a logo when you get somebody to kind of break down all of the thought process that went into a logo. But I think it looks sharp. Everybody loved the colors there this year, so they did a good job there in Utah, and now they finally officially have a name.
Yeah, congratulations to the Smith family and, the ownership group there. They've done so much in such a short period of time, made a big investment, really brought the fans in there to be part of this process. So it's an exciting day for them because, as we sit and watch over many years to come, I mean, these things are important. I mean, a long time ago, they named the Boston Bruins and the New York Rangers and, Montreal Canadiens. And it's the history, the legacy of these franchises. So congratulations to everybody in Utah on having an official team named the Utah Mammoth. So there it is. When we come back, we're going to dive into that series up north, the Leafs and the Panthers. Game 2 tonight. That's coming up on First Shift. Here is a tweet from our friend Anna Dua. Killing it up there at Sportsnet. We miss her down here with the NHL.com. But her tweet from this morning, Joseph Woll in the starter's net at morning skate. For the Leafs, appears that Matt Murray will back him up. Anthony Stolarz is absent from the morning skate. Not really that surprised about that based on what we saw in Game 1 with Stolarz getting bumped. He got hit with a shot, and then he got bumped in front of the net. Had to leave the game, got physically ill near the bench, and went to the hospital for precautionary reasons. Seemingly okay, but I didn't expect to see him in goal tonight, and it looks like it'll be Joseph Woll. Let me ask you, Doobie, again, you played the position, so you've been in those situations when guys are buzzing through that crease. I'm sure you've been dinged around. What did you make of the play with Sam Bennett?
Yeah, I don't know. My Leafs fan friends are going to hate me for this, but I don't see a lot. I really don't. And here's the interesting thing on the play. I mean, maybe he gives him a little nudge there, but it's just not hard. Like, there's so many guys that play like that, and I definitely don't like, I don't want to say it's nothing that he bumps him in the head, but here's an interesting situation about this play too, is that most goalies in this situation are going to come back to their post. So what happens is he bites on the first shot, and he's down, and he ends up being at the top of his crease, kind of in a spot that you wouldn't normally be when a puck goes down low and a guy drives across. Normally you're going to see the goalie, see how he's out at the top of the crease. If you can run it back even to the start where normally they're going to push and slide to a reverse VH here, but you can see because he bites and he's down early, look where he is. Like, that's not where most guys are going to be. And again, Bennett's looking at the puck. Like, he definitely makes contact with the head there, but he's going outside of the crease. It's just hard. He's got the puck on his stick here, and he's trying to score a goal. It's hard to imagine that there's intent there to knock the goalie's head when he's got the puck on his stick and is looking down, attempting to score a goal. Yeah. So again, the only thing I see there is that it's Sam Bennett, and he's got a history with being aggressive and especially in the playoffs, but it's hard to watch that and think that there was any sort of intent. I don't know how you have the puck on your stick in a scoring position and handle the puck while knowingly elbowing a guy in the head with your other arm. Unless he's Superman, it's hard to imagine that there was intent there. I think it was more of a little bit of a fluke play that Stolarz bit on the first shot, where he'd normally be down on his post and out of range there. He ended up at the top of his crease, where Bennett goes actually outside the top of the crease but his body is still in the crease and clips him. So
yeah, it's
listen,
he might be Superman in the playoffs. I mean, he is a tremendous player in the playoffs. His game goes up a notch. I mean, for me, I look at it, I think it's one of those, because I don't believe there's a lot of accidents. I think it's one of these like accidentally on purpose thing. Not that he's trying to, really hurt him, but he's trying to make contact and bang into him a little bit, because that's what happens in the playoffs. What do they say in the scouting? We got to get in his kitchen. We got to get to the top of the blue. We got to make it hard for him. We got to knock him off his spot. It's kind of part of it.
Exactly. And some of the best playoff guys are like that. Corey Perry, same thing. These guys, Matthew Tkachuk, Sam Bennett, and when you're playing against them, you're going to hate it, but it is that, right? The going into the net is not an accident. A little nudge here and there. I don't think he was trying to hammer him in the head.
No.
But yeah, you're going to get a bump. These guys do it. They do it on purpose because it's effective. You want to try to get a guy off a little bit, and they really walk the line, but they're going there hoping maybe somebody cross-checks them and they got a reason to become 90 pounds and go flying through the air onto the goalie.
That's true.
Out of nowhere. They're looking for that ability to bump, but there's so many guys that play like that are effective in the playoffs.
Yeah, no question about that. What did you make of game one? I mean, I thought the Leafs got off to the great start. They survived the adversity in the game. Florida's going to come out, I think, with a better game tonight. What did you make of the Leafs in game one?
I like Toronto's game. Obviously, Nylander looks incredible. I think, one thing for them, they're going to have to keep coming. I don't think that they were bad defensively either. The only thing is, I think they're going to get a much better performance out of Bobrovsky than they did in game one. I mean, the fourth goal, I just don't think you're going to see out of him very often. It's kind of a weird skipping shot, but I think they're going to get a better effort from Bobrovsky. They have to be prepared for that. But I like the way Toronto looked, and they were able to hold on. It got dicey at the end, but at the end of the day, they got the win. They had a goalie change in the middle of it, all this stuff. They can regroup, take a breath, and do their best to take one here, because Florida's not going to roll over and go down 0-2.
Yeah, I think it'll be a battle tonight. Aaron Ekblad back in the lineup after finishing off that 2-game suspension for the Florida Panthers. We come back. Steve Kouleas is going to join us next to talk about the ageless wonder, Corey Perry, continuing to get it done for the Oilers. That's next on First Shift. Got a tweet right here from Nate Thompson. Corey Perry looks like he does when I played with him in Anaheim. Hashtag ageless wonder. Hashtag Hall of Famer. And he is looking really, really good. And with that, we bring in Steve Kouleas for our weekly spot. NHL Network Radio, the master of the discussion room. And Cooley, you wanted to talk a little bit about Corey Perry today. I was watching last night, too. I was like, boy, this guy just keeps playing and playing. Maybe he's going to play till he's 50. I don't know. But he had a goal last night. He's been a factor again.
Yeah, and that I laughed when I saw that Nate Thompson tweet. EJ, Devin, thanks for having me back on. He is 40 in 9 days. And when he left Anaheim, we all thought he was done. And what did he do? Well, Cup finals with Dallas, Cup final with Montreal, Cup final with Tampa, and the Cup final last year. And this year, he's playing better than he did for the Oilers a year ago. And this play, this is the beginning of the beginning for the Edmonton Oilers. And a lot of guys would have shot right there. No, but he pushes it forward. That's why he's got a rocket. That's why he's got the 400-plus goals. That's why he is a borderline Hall of Famer. We can get into that another day. If McDavid didn't want to play with Corey Perry, he wouldn't be on his line. These guys dominated 5-on-5, and they were up against Eichel, Stone, and Carlson yesterday. Oh, my goodness, 222 career playoff games. He's moving on up, Wheezy, to the Upper East Side. Chris Draper, see you later. Glenn Anderson, Larry Robinson, at least this year. And if they keep on going, well, I don't need to read you the Masters leaderboard. I love the guy. I remember watching him in London. I remember watching early in his career in Anaheim. 85 birth year, 03 draft, one of the best of all time. Way to go, ageless wonder.
Man, does that ever make me feel old? He's a year older than me. He's a year old. Same with I had to watch Fleury do his thing all year. I'm like, man, these guys are playing at such a high level. all the way 40 years old. And the great thing about Corey Perry is he can go anywhere in the lineup. And that's why he's such an incredible playoff performer, why he's always on these playoff teams that are having success and going deep, is he can go anywhere. He's top line with Connor and Leon scoring goals. If he's not scoring goals or he's asked to do something else, he's going to go to the front of the net. He's going to get in the goalie's kitchen. He's going to get under their skin. He's going to go hit somebody, slash somebody. It doesn't matter what it is. He's going to go out there and do it. And he is such a versatile player to have on your playoff team. I mean, it's just unreal. And you can see the skill is still there. That, like Steve, like you mentioned, that play, to have the wherewithal to know that he has time to cut back across the front of the net. A lot of guys would have just whacked that thing, and Adin Hill got a good read on it, and he would have stopped it. And he knows he's got time. He's aware of his surroundings, and it's just fun to watch. It's really incredible. Experience.
It means more than people think sometimes. And he's still got that passion to play. And Cooley, I mean, the only thing he's got to do now is maybe get on the right side of a Stanley Cup final. I mean, he was on the right side of one years ago in Anaheim. He's been in a lot of finals lately on the wrong side. Maybe this is the year. We'll see. But he continues to be a factor up there in Edmonton. Bringing it back down south here to the back across the border in the U.S., Logan Stankoven, he comes over from Dallas and the Rantanen deal. I mean, he was a highly thought of young player in Dallas. It was a lot for them to give up. Obviously, they got a great player in Rantanen, so you have to give to get someone of that stature. But Stankoven has been a great fit in Carolina, and he had another big goal last night.
Yeah, and he's the other guy in the trade, and Mikko Rantanen, what he's done the last 3 games, and 12 points. Now McDavid leads playoff scoring, but Rantanen is right there with 12 points. And he's contributed in his way. You know, he can play on the third line, on the second line, and Rod Brind'Amour likes to spread things out. Like Seth Jarvis could play up higher, but if he's playing with Martin O'Connell, that's fine. Then you got Stankoven on the second line. Every time he gets a point in these playoffs, it's flipping big. This was a horrific turnover, but then you need the one shot to score. And the underlying numbers, they talk about Carolina and loving their underlying number darlings. Stankoven is that. If you actually put his underlying numbers next to Rantanen, for the most part, his are better. Now, he's not a better player. They wanted something back that they could help in their top 9, and they got him back. He's not going to produce like 96. He's not as good as 96, but if you can augment Stahl and Kotkaniemi on the second line to give Aho and Svechnikov, who were also dominant in the 2 games yesterday, come from behind wins by the teams that dominated because they stayed with their program. Stankoven is part of the Tulsky Brind'Amour program. So I wanted to show him some love. Obviously a big moment. He's done his job. Never as good as 96, but he's himself, whether it's top 6 or top 9, guys.
Yeah, you made a good point there, Steve, too, about him. He fits right into that Carolina, the way that they play. And it is that high intensity. You got to be in shape. You got to be ready to go and be able to go out there and fly. And that's what they do. Not everybody suits that in Carolina. And I think Carolina did a really good job with this because, I mean, it was damage control, essentially. They go out and get Rantanen in this big deal, and all of a sudden it falls apart. They realize he's not going to sign with them. Well, I think they did a pretty darn good job of getting something in return in a young player who's showing really well already, with the potential, obviously, going forward to just continue to build. I think they got good return, considering that they were put in a pretty difficult situation after going out, making this big splash, getting Rantanen, and then kind of being backed in a corner, knowing everybody knows that he's got to move somewhere. I think they did a good job bringing Stankoven back.
Yeah, he's been.
EJ,
go ahead, Steve.
Imagine if Dallas plays Carolina.
I know.
That would be a love stew of incestuous trip. Let's not get there just yet. But good for Stankoven for what he's done as being the other guy. Great title for a movie, I think, or something like that.
Yeah, I think we had one of those already. But, you know, it's funny. I was thinking that same thing last night because, you know, in both those games, I was thinking maybe I've underestimated these teams. Like Carolina completely dominated Washington on the road, and Edmonton, as the game went along, they really controlled a lot of that game from the second period on against Vegas, also on the road. So, hey, you never know how things are going to play out. But Carolina-Dallas final would be an interesting one, Cooley, for sure. I'm sure there'd be a lot of love for Mikko Rantanen and Raleigh in a series like that. Right now, there seems to be a lot of love for Team Canada over at the World Championships. I mean, they're bringing together, this is like one of those traveling all-star groups. You got Crosby, you got McKinnon, and you got Marc-Andre Fleury, in his last hurrah. I mean, this is a pretty star-studded group over there for the World Championships, which we'll have right here on the NHL Network starting on Friday.
And I didn't know that, but it's a great promo, as we were always taught in our score days, EJ. Promo. And Devin knows about representing his country. I won at the Spengler before I got there. Oh, if you would have waited 2 years, I could have done your games. But I love international hockey. Listen, the World's is not the Stanley Cup playoffs, EJ, right? Yeah. But on the American side, Werenski, Tage Thompson, Clayton Keller, Matty Beniers. You know why? It's an Olympic year. Yeah. It's an Olympic year. I'll see Will Smith, Shane Pinto. Sorry to quick play on the roster, but if you want to go back to the Canada one, yeah, Crosby's going, McKinnon's going, Marc-Andre Fleury's not going to retire at the NHL level. Ryan O'Reilly. It's an audition, guys. Hello, we're going to Italy, and in these Olympic years, we're in the sandwich of the Four Nations and the Olympics. Listen, what are you going to do at 2:00 on a Tuesday when there's no hockey on? Guess what? Tune into the NHL Network and watch the World Championship. Only thing would make it better is EJ was on the call. I don't know if you are on the call.
That would be fun. I would love to take the trip. I mean, I could use a trip over to Sweden. That would be nice. But Doobie, I mean, this is, Steve makes a great point, right? Because it is the Olympics, so more likely to get guys to go to try to audition. But it's pretty cool to be pulling over, in your case, to pull over the red and white. It's something special.
It is. It's fantastic. And I had the opportunity to do it 4 times in a row. Wow. Playing in Edmonton, I could book my flights mid-January to wherever the Worlds were going to be, because we knew there was no chance of getting to the playoffs. So, it's funny because it's a tournament. The NHL season is so long and grinding that by the end of the year, it's tough. It's a tough thought for some guys to then pack up and go. It's like you take a breath, you unpack your locker, and you got to pack up, turn around, and go the next day. So at first it seems like maybe something you don't really want to do, but then when you get over there, it's some of the best times I've ever had. You play with these incredible players. The hockey's amazing. People don't get a chance to watch it or tune in because they don't think of it because the NHL playoffs are going on. But you just showed those rosters. I mean, the talent over there is incredible. And being the Olympic year, I had the first year that I went there was the same year as the Olympics. So it was the opposite end where the team was full of young players, and there wasn't that star-studded lineup. And then as the seasons went on, in 3 and 4, it started getting more so. And that last year was the same thing, kind of an Olympics audition. And there were big names over there. It's really, really good hockey. Hockey Canada, I'm sure USA does the same thing. I was with Hockey Canada. They treat the guys incredibly well, first class all the way through. And every time you go there, it's an incredible time. So for the players' perspective, it's a big commitment. It's a long tournament. It's usually about 3 weeks, close to a month time commitment, which is why some guys decide to not go. But it is an audition for the Olympics this year. And if you can tune in, it is fantastic hockey to watch. Yeah,
we'll have it right here on the NHL Network starting on Friday. Cooley, before I let you go, what's the prediction tonight? What do you got?
Well, DJ was really happy last week. I'm on a bit of a roll here. So going to play it safe. Florida wins to even the series. Let's not get too giddy in Toronto. And Matthew Tkachuk, where is it? Matthew Tkachuk. Florida wins tonight. All
right. So Matthew Tkachuk with a goal, I'm going to assume, as you put the light on. All right.
Yeah, goal for Matthew Tkachuk.
All right. Well, we pencil it in. You've been going. You've had a good run. So let's see if you can keep it rolling here. Keep an eye on this.
Guys, thanks for having me again. And the new stuff was all for you, EJ. I want to make you happy.
Very nice. Thank you. And I'm still counting those pictures behind you. You got so many back there. So anyway, thanks for the time today, buddy. We'll see you next week. Coming up next, we're going to play a little game of edge work with Doobie. See who has the edge in the series coming up between the Stars and the Jets. That's next on First Shift. Time for a little edge work. JD, set it up for us.
All righty, here we go. Final 3 minutes of our program. We got game 1 between the Jets and Stars tonight. So we'll ask you guys who's got the edge in that series. We'll break it down in 3 categories. Right. Doobie, you're up first. Who's got the edge up front? Which forward group has the edge in your mind?
Gosh, this is a tough one. I am going to go with Dallas here. I'm going to say because of Mikko Rantanen being Mikko Rantanen, the Moose, the way that he dominated the end of that series, hopefully he can continue that. And having Jason Robertson come back into the lineup, obviously a huge factor for them. Close one here. Obviously, Kyle Connor has been playing really well too, but I'm going to go with Dallas in this one.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you. I just think the depth, when you look at those line charts there for the Dallas Stars, Robertson coming back in, I think that's going to be a boost. So it's tight, but I'm going to say the Dallas Stars.
All righty, Eej, coming to you first here. Defense, natural follow there. Who you like?
Well, it's interesting, right? Because Morrissey likely not playing tonight, and Heiskanen still out of the lineup for Dallas. You know, I'm gonna go with the Jets based on how they played with the 5 guys the other night in that game against the St. Louis Blues. I thought Pionk was fabulous. Sandberg is, just people are going to realize how good this guy is as we go on. And I want to give a special shout out to Hayden Fleury. Bounced around the league the last 7 or 8 years. I don't think he's played more than 47 games in any of those seasons since his rookie year. I thought he played really well in that game the other night, a high-pressure, high-stakes game. So I think it's close, but I'll take the Jets.
Yeah, I got to agree with you here. It is very close. I'm going to go with the Jets as well. I thought Pionk was incredible to finish that game, and the minutes that he played when they went down to 5D was really incredible. I mean, that was a huge part of that win, and the entire overtime as well. It felt like he was out there the whole time. So Fleury as well jumped in, played great, was moving the puck. I believe he set up the overtime goal. He makes a great play. Winds up like he's going to take a point shot, rifles a pass down to Kyle Connor, goes around the net, puck ends up in the back of the net. So tight one here. Things change with Morrissey and Heiskanen, but I'll go with the Jets on this one.
All right.
All righty, fellas, one last one here. Doobie, to you. Looking for an X factor in this series. Who's got the edge? Just something, the little je ne sais quoi.
I'll go right back to that. I think the X factor is going to be who gets their stud defenseman back sooner. Yeah. Those guys are such make or break players between Morrissey and Heiskanen. If one of those guys can come back and make a difference in one or 2 games, that could be the difference.
All right. I just want to see a Game 7. DeBoer perfect in Game 7, and the whiteout Winnipeg crowd there. Let's have a Game 7 in this series, Doobie. That'd be great. We are out of time. Doobie, thanks for the show today. We appreciate you. NHL Now is next.